exhibition game, get it in before the season. What do you think?
Well, we just, addressed the team specifically about was when you play a quality program like San Diego State, who's had success now for 2+ decades and a couple years removed from a Final Four, and returning a nucleus in terms of experience, that it's an opportunity to learn. And so we were given a report card, and we knew that. That's why we scheduled them. Whether you win a game like this or you lose, as we did, it informs how you drum roll forward in preparation for the season. And now we're officially tipping off the 25-26 college basketball season, and that's where our focus needs to be. We'll take that report card back. It'll inform what we do in practice the next couple days before we open up the season at JCP. And even the things that we work on specifically in practice that were exposed by San Diego State will help us remedy those deficiencies where we could have played a program that wanted to come out to San Diego in an exhibition game and maybe you win by 40, but we don't learn anything about ourselves. And those same flaws and deficiencies would still be there, just not exposed in that game as they were tonight. So really it's a tip of the hat to Coach Dutch, and grateful that his team played as well as it did. I wish we showed up and played better, but the value of being able to now work on the very specific areas that were exposed so we can get better in time for our opener and all the non-conference games in preparation for West Coast Conference play, where it's not going to get any easier. So I'm glad that we played a game against an opponent like San Diego State. Disappointed we didn't play better, but I know we're going to learn from it.
What 2 or 3 things in particular that you learned that going forward?
Yeah, I think, their physicality is, as it always has been, played them in the NCAA tournament in 2015 when I was at St. John's, and, their physicality in that game was impressive, and that was 10 years ago. So not much has changed. Coach Fisher was still the head coach. I think he might have retired within a couple years after that. And I go back with Dutch and Fish to the late 80s when I was at Purdue. And Fish and Dutch were working under Bill Frieder at Michigan. And so a lot of respect for their careers and then what they've built out here through the decades. So I think the physicality was number one. And then there's some specific things in terms of, ball screen coverage and their, offensive rebounds, which is tied back to the first point of physicality. That was probably the 3 biggest areas, I'd say, was, physicality, their rebounding. They controlled the paint, right, at both ends of the court. If you look at the points in the paint, second shots, third shot opportunities. So they've got length and size and strength, and they're not yet working with a full complement of players. I mean,
they didn't have Bird and Magoon.
Yeah, their most gifted big man arguably is, going to be joining probably in time for conference play, if not sooner. So and that's, again, what I focused. We're going to face some big teams. We'll never face a team like this. Maybe, in the postseason we'd face a team like this, but they're unique in terms of how stout they are, how experienced they are, how cohesive as well, because of that continuity, where we've got 14 new players. So we're kind of at the opposite end of the spectrum, and we bring back less experience than most teams in the country, and San Diego State brings back as much experience as any team in the country. So I think that contrast we saw, it was kind of a, as I said to you earlier today, a study in contrast, the 2 teams. Before we played the game, I kind of felt, not that we would perform as poorly as we did, but I felt it would be a study in contrast type of game. We want to be able to play fast, and they were effective at slowing us down because they executed so well offensively. We were taking the ball to the net the whole game, either off a free throw or a layup or a dunk or an open shot. So now we're not able to play off of our defense with a string of stops or shutouts where we can get down the court and get organized and get some good looks at the basket. So they were physical with their on-ball defense. They were physical with their off-ball defense. They were physical on every shot and hitting us. And you really saw the separation as a result of their physicality. And they executed at a high level. 60% they shot in the first half from the field.
You guys wish you were still playing during the season? This has been a pretty good series through the years.
Yeah, I think it would be terrific, if whether it's, playing every year in exhibition games against one another, at USD, then here. Maybe on the third year, you play at a neutral site where the Clippers are playing, or down in, the desert. And that's something I, talked to Dutch about in the off season, not right now. And we've had conversations about it before, but I do think anytime we can hook up, whether it's exhibition, scrimmage, a non-conference game, playing at a neutral site, or a home and home some point down the line. But I also understand the strategic thinking in terms of at this point, because we haven't in the last 15, 16, 17, 18 years been at the level that we hope to be at some point. That they may not see as much value in playing us as we do in the value in playing them. So, and I understand that. I've been on both sides of that situation when I was at UCLA and St. John's and now San Diego, looking at it through a different lens or prism.
I just think the team played together for the first time in a game setting. You talk about 14 newcomers.
Yeah.
San Diego State looks like they've been playing with each other for a long time, and they have.
Yes.
Did you see some growth there with all of the players that you played tonight?
Yeah, first San Diego State they were hitting on all cylinders, playing like a well-oiled machine. So hats off to them. But I was disappointed with our performance, going a little too fast. And I think some of that comes from playing on the road, and also the 14 new guys trying to get a feel for one another and how to learn each other's game. But we missed some point-blank shots. We traveled at times where we weren't really under duress. They weren't really like forced turnovers. Just some open looks we missed, shuffled the feet. And again, some of that comes from adrenaline, the butterflies, maybe a little bit of the jitters, and also gaining familiarity with one another. And it's the first time we've been away from our campus. We're either playing at Jenny Craig in a blue and white scrimmage against one another, or playing Cal State Dominguez Hills in the Basketball Performance Center. And all of our practices have been in one of those campus facilities. So it is new. It can unnerve you. It can discombobulate you, even when you're not playing a top 20 team and NCAA tournament level program on an annual basis. So I really feel grateful for the opportunity to bring this report card back to campus, and it will inform our practices in preparation for the start of the season. Disappointed with our performance, but also understand that we played a really good basketball team.